Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Fayetteville Public Library's Preschool Storytime at Home. I'm Miss Alyson and it's great to have you with me. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and here we are already into December, which means we've got another big holiday coming up. And I don't know about you, but I am ready to get into the Christmas spirit. So I have a couple of holiday themed books and a really cute cardboard tube craft that I will show you at the end. Let's get started. The first book I'm going to show you or read to you is Zoomer's Out of This World Christmas. 'Twas the day before Christmas, and Hooper, Cooper, and their little brother Zoomer were on the lookout for flying reindeer. "Be sure to yell if you see anything unusual," Zoomer told his brothers. I do, called Cooper, pointing at Zoomer's cardboard antlers. "Very funny," said Zoomer. "Look at that tree decorated with those lights. That looks like fun." "Stop goofing around," yelled Hooper. "This could be it. Something is coming this way, and it's coming in fast. Really, really fast." The pups all ducked for cover as the something shot past them and landed with a loud boom in the backyard. "Boys," called Dad, "what's all the noise about?" "I'm not sure," answered Zoomer, "but I think Santa just landed in the backyard." "Zoomer," Dad chuckled, "where does he come up with this stuff?" But as the pups reached the backyard, they soon realized it wasn't Santa. "Wow," whispered Cooper. "What do you think it is?" Before they had time to wonder, the spaceship's door slowly began to open. And out stepped a family from outer space, their robot and their pet, a yarple-headed gigantaziller. "Welcome to our backyard," said Zoomer with a bow. And they replied with friendly smiles, "Beep, beepity beep." See them all there? Then the space family invited Zoomer and his brothers to share their picnic. They feasted on kookaloon sandwiches, zabluki salad, and blob wapple pie, and washed it all down with some Zoink Fizz soda. Everything was out of this world delicious. Look at that. Would you eat any of that stuff? The kookaloon sandwich, or zabluki salad, or blob wapple pie? After their meal, the space kids taught Zoomer and his brothers how to play Zlamaroo. It was like soccer, only much bigger. Looks like they're playing on big robots. Wow. After the game, the space mom set up a force-field swimming pool for the kids, while the space dad inspected their space cruiser for takeoff. Look, she made a swimming pool with no sides. Wouldn't that be awesome? I love that. That would be wild. Swimming made Zoomer hungry, and when he got out of the pool in search of a snack, he saw the space dad shaking his head. "The saucer was damaged when it landed," translated the robot. "It will take weeks for a new part to be delivered." Zoomer knew that the family wanted to get home in time for Santa's arrival, so he thought of a solution. But it meant giving up his favorite toy. See how he's using his tricycle to give it support? That's a thoughtful thing for him to do. With Zoomer's trike in place, the spaceship was ready for takeoff. But before they got on board, the space kids gave Hooper, Cooper, and Zoomer something they'd picked up during their travels. "Wow, thanks," said Zoomer. The brothers waved until the spaceship flew out of sight. Then Hooper turned to Zoomer and said, "That was a really nice thing that you did." There they go, blasting off. Back home, the boys unwrapped their gift and found the perfect place to display their very own star. I love that. That evening, the Earth family ate a wonderful mom-made dinner. Then the pups hung up their stockings and were hugged and tucked into a warm bed. Early the next morning, the pups couldn't wait to see if Santa had stopped by. Hooper received a robot, Cooper a Viking ship, and Zoomer, what do you think Zoomer might have gotten? A new bicycle. And on the handlebars was a note. Dear Zoomer, Hooper was right. It was a really nice thing you did. Merry Christmas from Santa. I love that. That's such a neat ending to the story. Merry Christmas to all. Zoomer is one great guy. All right. The other book I'm going to read to you is Merry Moosey Christmas. And I've never read this before. I read it just before I started recording, and it is hilarious. I'm so glad that I came across it. Hope you'll like it too. Everyone deserves a holiday break. Please, Santa, please, begged Rudolph. Just this once, can't I please have Christmas Eve off? Santa looked skeptical. Rudolph persisted. I've never had a chance to stay home on Christmas Eve and listen for jingling sleigh bells on the roof and a whoosh down the chimney with presents just for me. Look at him begging. Please, please, please. Santa's heart was as soft as his belly. Ho, 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 he laughed. Okay, Rudy, just this once. But first we must find a worthy replacement to lead my sleigh on the most special night of the year, and you must help me train him. And so Santa and Rudolph set off in search of the perfect substitute. What about him? Asked Santa. Wrong size. The elephant? How about that one? Santa pointed. Too feathery. And how about this one? Antlers? Asked Santa. Horns, said Rudolph. Discouraged, Santa and Rudolph flew northward. Sorry, Rudy, said Santa. It looks like you won't get Christmas Eve off after all. Whoa, wait, what's that? Exclaimed Rudolph. They landed the sleigh at the edge of a forest. Rudolph and Santa measured, poked, and probed. Should do, would do, could do. With a little training, they agreed. Who did they find? A moose. The moose seemed willing. What should we teach him first? Asked Santa. Nose glowing, answered Rudolph. Rudolph stood in front of the moose and made his nose glow. Flashity flash flash. Now you try it, said Rudolph. Just think bright thoughts. The moose thought of hot sunny days and car headlights. He grunted, groaned, held his breath, and stood on his head until his face turned red, but his nose did not glow. Maybe this'll work. Santa offered a clown nose out of his sack. Rudolph shook his head. Sorry, Santa. It looks funny and doesn't really shine. The moose held up a hoof as if to say, wait a minute, and raced down the road. He was back in a flash, wearing a headlamp. That's not a nose, said Santa. But it shines plenty of light, said Rudolph, to help you find your way. It'll do, Santa and Rudolph agreed. What's next? Asked Santa. Flying, answered Rudolph. Rudolph took a few flying leaps over the moose's head. Leapity leap, leap. Now you try it, said Rudolph. Just think soaring thoughts. The moose thought of gliding eagles and float planes taking off from the lake. The moose stood on his back tippy toes and flapped his front legs while Rudolph gave him a boost. But he didn't lift off the ground one itty bitty bit. Maybe this'll work. Out of his sack, Santa pulled a beanie cap with a propeller. Rudolph shook his head. Sorry, Santa, that looks silly, and it would take a much bigger propeller to lift that big fella. The moose held up a hoof as if to say, wait a minute, and raced down the road again. This time he whizzed back with a jetpack. Santa and Rudolph looked at each other and agreed, it'll do. What's next? Asked Santa. Directions, answered Rudolph. Rudolph gave a lecture on the North Star, latitude and longitude, traveling through time zones, yakety yak yak. Now you try it, said Rudolph. Just think guiding thoughts. The moose thought of hunters' compasses and signs telling out-of-staters where to go. The moose pointed north with his snout, south with his antlers, east with his front legs, and west with his back legs. Maybe this'll help. Santa pulled a globe out of his sack. Sorry, Santa, said Rudolph. He'll need more detail to find streets and addresses. The moose held up a hoof as if to say, wait a minute, and raced down the road. He found his way back with a GPS strapped to his antlers. Santa and Rudolph nodded. It'll do. He is all outfitted, ready to go. What's next? Asked Santa. Rudolph thought out loud. Let's see. Nose glowing, flying, directions. Seems like there's one more thing, but I can't remember what it is. Couldn't be too important then, said Santa. Well, if I think of it, I'll let you know, Rudolph told the moose. In the meantime, practice, 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 and arrive at the North Pole at dusk on Christmas Eve, ready to go. Thanks, Moosie, added Santa, giving the moose a pat. Santa and Rudolph headed back to the North Pole, where they were busy getting ready for Christmas Eve. The moose stayed home, where he was dizzy, getting ready for Christmas Eve. Look at him flying upside down. The moose couldn't help himself. He was so anxious. He arrived at the North Pole at dawn on Christmas Eve day. He tried to stay out of the way while Santa, Rudolph, the elves, and the other reindeer finished all the final preparations for the big night. Rudolph stayed with the sleigh until the last second, making certain everything was perfect. Not having second thoughts about staying home this year, are you, Rudy? Asked Santa. Rudolph gulped a big gulp, leaned over and whispered, Doesn't matter if I were. Look how excited the big guy is to have a turn leading your sleigh. You're right, Santa winked. But still, it won't be the same without you. Rudolph turned for home before more than his nose turned red. At last it was time to go. Giddy up, shouted Santa. The moose soared skyward. Santa ordered, To Rudy's house first, Moosie. He's been waiting a lifetime for this special night. We mustn't keep him waiting. The moose flew to Rudolph's, straight and steady. Rudolph had barely been home long enough to set out peanut butter cookies for Santa, his favorites, and blueberry muffins for the moose to make him feel right at home. To his surprise, he heard sleigh bells. Could Santa be arriving already? Rudolph jumped into bed and pretended to be asleep. He listened for the whoosh down the chimney, but instead he heard crash, bang, boom. Uh-oh. Rudolph jumped out of bed and looked up the chimney. Santa rolled out of the sled and looked down the chimney. They shouted, Landings! We forgot to teach him how to do landings. Rudolph hurried onto the roof and helped to right the sleigh. But before he could utter a word on how to do landings, the moose held up a hoof as if to say, Wait a minute. Rudolph interrupted. I know. Climb in. I'll take you. And Rudolph jetted the sleigh back to Moosey's favorite store. They'll do, Santa and Rudolph agreed. Hurry, there's no time to waste. Millions of kids are counting on you, Rudolph shouted. Santa snapped the reins and the sleigh lifted off with Moosie leading the way. And that Christmas Eve, some pretending to be asleep children not only heard jingling sleigh bells and a whoosh down the chimney, but also, Merry Moosey Christmas to all, and to all a good night. What did the moose come up with so he'd have better landings on the roof? Skis! He is one resourceful moose. All right, since there was a book about reindeer, I have got a reindeer cardboard tube craft for you, and it is so much fun. Here's one sample, and here's the other. As you can see, one of them's got a red nose, so of course that's Rudolph, and this is one of the other reindeer. And if you've got enough cardboard tubes, you can make the entire team that pulls Santa's sleigh. All you're going to need is a cardboard tube. You can either use a toilet paper tube or you can cut down a paper towel tube to size, and you're going to paint it brown, or you can use probably magic markers or a brown crayon. And then you'll need a pipe cleaner, and I just cut one in half. Hold on just a second so I can show you how to make the antlers curl. Forgot to get this. Just take a pencil, coloring pencil, anything like that, and you're just gonna twirl the antlers around, and I'll make a nice curlicue. Leave a little bit of the end straight, because that's the part that's gonna go down in the cardboard tube, and then you can just twist them apart. There you go, and you've got your antlers. And you'll need a pair of googly eyes and a nose. Now, with the googly eyes and the nose, you can use buttons. You don't have to have the little puff balls that you get at the craft store or googly eyes. You can also paint them on, or you can use construction paper, and the same thing with the antlers. If you don't have a brown pipe cleaner, you can just cut an antler shape out of construction paper. So what you do next is you'll need some Scotch tape, and you're just going to tape one of the antlers on the inside of the tube. Make sure it's good and secure. And then you'll do the other one on the opposite side. Sometimes it's easier to just put the tape on the antlers first instead of trying to add the tape down into the tube. All right, there you go. Now, take the top of the tube and just pinch it into the middle, and that will make the head of the reindeer, just like that. All right, can you see it taking shape? Okay, then you'll need either some Elmer's glue, or you can use a glue stick. And there's one eye. There he is. And the second eye. All right, he's coming along. And then glue your little puff ball, and there's his nose. Now you can do something really fun. You can make them stand apart from each other by making a little scarf. Again, you can use a strip of construction paper, but if you by any chance have fabric or maybe felt lying around, you can just make a strip long enough to go around the tube. I've done a green scarf for Rudolph, a red one for this guy, and for this last one, I did a white scarf with snowflakes. And so what I would do is take your Elmer's glue, and you can just run a line of glue down the back, or you can just run the glue stick along the back of the scarf. You can kind of see some of the purple glue there. And then you're just going to start at the back, press the scarf into place, and then make sure it's a little more even so you can crisscross them. And then you'll want to add a little bit more glue to make sure that the top part of the scarf lays down over the back. There you go. He looks very dapper. And then what I like to do is add a little bit of fringe to really make it look like a scarf. You can just take your scissors and just add a little bit of fringe. And my scissors are getting dull. There we go. They're not cutting through very well. There. Okay. Move his scarf a little bit up higher on his neck so he stays good and toasty. And there is your cardboard tube reindeer. Let's see. I'll show you all three. There they are. Aren't they handsome? Like I said, you can use all kinds of materials, buttons, construction paper, different scraps of fabric. Just, use your imagination and whatever materials you have lying around in the house. And you can make your very own herd of reindeer. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's story time. I sure did. And I will see you again soon. Bye.